Welcome back, alchemists. There are forces in this world that don't have bodies, but absolutely have influence. Nations have them, religions have them, corporations have them, even families carry them. In the language of the occult, they're called egregores. And egregore isn't a ghost or even a demon. It also isn't some astral creature floating around looking for attention. Instead, it's a thought form. It's a psychic structure created and sustained by focused belief, emotion, ritual, repetition, and story. And whether you realize it or not, you're feeding them every single day. Today, we're going to talk about what egregores really are, how they shape your reality, and how you, as a spiritual alchemist, can consciously create one as a symbolic method of programming your own subconscious. Word egregore comes from the Greek egregoroi, meaning watchers, and later appeared in esoteric traditions influenced by groups like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. In these esoteric and magical philosophies, egregores are understood to exist and autonomously operate on the astral plane. But because this is the Transformative Alchemist, we're going to strip away that mystique. At its core, an egregore is a pattern of thought and emotion that becomes self-reinforcing through repetition and collective attention. Now think about a brand like Apple. It's not just a company, it's an identity, a culture, and even invokes a bit of mythology when you think about it. People defend it, some almost evangelize it and attach themselves to it. Well, that's an egregore. Now think about a nation like the United States. It exists as a land and government, yes, but it also exists as story, symbolism, emotional charge, and shared identity. That's also an egregore. Even an idea like success in modern culture has a personality. It can pressure us, it can seduce us, it can judge. So yeah, that's an egregore too. Now, if we look at this through the lens of spiritual alchemy, an egregore is basically coagulated psychic energy. Now, keep in mind that in the context that we work in, the word psychic isn't referring to extrasensory abilities, but the mental, emotional, and motivational forces that drive human thoughts, behaviors, and psychological processes. In alchemy, we speak of solve, dissolving what is unconscious, as well as coagula, forming something intentional from that energy. So egregores are a coagulation of attention and intention. And where attention flows, structure forms. Now, the danger of this is that unconscious egregores program you. For example, take a moment to look at this symbol. Did you immediately recognize it? Perhaps your mind even skipped conscious decision-making and moved directly to a sensation of hunger, comfort, or craving. Well, that's an egregore in action. But on the flip side, consciously created ones can actually serve you. You may have never realized it, but you have internal egregores living within you right now. It's the voice of self-doubt, the voice of ambition, the identity of the wounded one, the identity of the healer, the identity of the outsider. Now, each one has been fed by repetition, memory, and emotional reinforcement. Anytime you say, that's just who I am, you're often describing an egregore you've unconsciously created and sustained. However, spiritual alchemy is about reclaiming our own sovereignty. Now, before we go any further, please remember, we're not talking about creating an independent spirit here. What we're talking about is symbolically constructing a psychological pattern, giving it form so the subconscious can engage with it, and programming yourself through archetypal language rather than brute force willpower. Now, this is ritualized self-conditioning. But because it's done symbolically, it penetrates deeper than simple affirmations alone. As we've discussed before, our subconscious doesn't speak English. It speaks in images and repetition, emotion, and of course, ritual. Now, this is why religions incorporate symbols, why nations create flags, and why corporations design logos. Symbols concentrate attention, and concentrated attention becomes power. So, how would a spiritual alchemist go about creating a Egregore if one were so inclined? Well, luckily enough, we have a ritual for that, the rite of coagulated will. Now, this ritual is designed to create a symbolic thought form that embodies a quality you wish to stabilize within yourself. It's not to control others or manifest external domination, but just to program your own subconscious toward coherence. So, to complete this ritual, we will first define the essence of our egregore by choosing one quality. Not 5, not 10, just one. Now, this could be a quality like steady discipline, creative flow, emotional resilience, or courageous speech. Once you've identified that quality, you'll write a single sentence. This force within me stabilizes my tendency to blank. Now, examples could be, this force within me stabilizes my tendency to procrastinate when things feel overwhelming. This force within me stabilizes my tendency to abandon projects once the initial excitement fades. Or this force within me stabilizes my tendency to overextend myself to gain approval from others. Now, you want to be specific. If the intention is fuzzy and not fully formed, the pattern will be weak. But if your intention is precise, the symbolic construct knows exactly what its assignment is. Next, your subconscious needs associated imagery, which gives your egregore form. Now, close your eyes and ask yourself, if this quality had a symbolic form, what would it look like? Now, examples of this could be a flame that never flickers, a black marble pillar, a golden serpent coiled but otherwise calm, a crowned stag standing in stillness. Don't overthink this or try to force it. Simply let the image arise. Sketch it if you can, even if it's only a rudimentary sketch. I know personally I draw like a elementary school student in the lower grades, but when creating an egregore, I still sketch it out. Again, that's the symbolism that anchors it into our subconscious. Regardless, once you have identified what its symbolic form is, then you'll want to give it a name. Now, this is important as having a name lends psychological coherence to your egregore. Again, this is not something you should really try to overthink. Just let it come to you naturally. Now that we've defined its essence and given it form, it's time to charge it with intention. Sit quietly and visualize the form before you. Once you've fixed it in your mind, say aloud, I call forth the pattern of blank within me. Now recall 3 memories where you embodied even a small amount of this quality. Now allow yourself to feel these memories. Remember, emotion is fuel in this situation. And then you'll want to imagine those memories flowing into the symbol you fixed in your mind. See it grow brighter, heavier, and become more solid. Stay with this visualization for 5 to 10 minutes. If you find your attention wandering, don't be hard on yourself. Just gently return your focus to where it needs to be. Now, after charging the egregore, we'll need to anchor it. We'll do this by placing our hand over our heart. Then we'll visualize that form shrinking to a manageable size and entering into our chest. You'll say aloud, "You live within me as my aligned nature." After that, breathe slowly for several minutes before opening your eyes. Now, here's where a bit of discipline comes into play, as we now have to feed the created egregore, so to speak, with intention. For the next 30 days, you'll need to spend 2 minutes each morning visualizing it. You'll also want to act in one small way daily that aligns with it, and each time you do, mentally say its name. Repetition feeds the egregore, attention stabilizes it, and behavior incarnates it. And after 30 days, you'll begin to notice something. The egregore begins responding more quickly than your effort. And what I mean by this is probably best explained with an example. Let's say your ritual was about stabilizing courageous speech. In the early days, when needing to speak your truth, you felt the fear, remembered the symbol, breathed intentionally, and pushed yourself to speak. But by day 20 or so, when the moment arrives, you might feel a slight flicker of fear, but you speak anyway, almost automatically. You didn't have to wrestle yourself. The pattern triggered before hesitation even gained strength. That's the moment the construct is alive, not as some metaphysical entity, but as a stabilized neural pathway. So, what have we actually done here? We've identified a desired psychological trait, we've encoded it symbolically, we've linked it with an emotional memory, we've repeated it consistently, and reinforced it through behavior. In other words, you've performed alchemy on your own nervous system. And as we've mentioned, the egregore isn't some supernatural being outside you. It's a structured pattern of focused intention living within you. As a side note, starvation works too. Just as we fed a constructive egregore, we can also starve a destructive one. And this is done by withdrawing from it. You withdraw your attention, you withdraw any emotional rehearsals that may take place in your mind, and you withdraw repetition. Without fuel, egregores dissolve. Salve et coagula. Something else to keep in mind is that you're not merely influenced by external collective forces, you're a generator of them. In every belief you repeat, in every identity you defend, and in every story you rehearse, you're building internal structures in the invisible world of the subconscious. The spiritual alchemist doesn't pretend that these forces don't exist. We learn to build them consciously and with intention. And in doing so, we become less ruled by the unconscious prison temples of the world around us as we simultaneously exert sovereignty over our own lives. Until next time, keep feeding your egregore a steady diet of positive intention. Let me know how it goes in the comments. Share this episode with anyone you think might benefit from it. And as always, walk in peace and light, my friend.